One of the most historically corrupt public companies here in the proud trailer of arse, Redflex, the global gurus of traffic camera mismanagement, has just copped a multi-million buck COVID-19 retardistani bailout. Yes. Full details next. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au, and I get new cars cheap for buyers here in Australia. You may inquire at the website for that. Just to set the scene here, okay, lest you think I am being unduly harsh on your good friends, Redflex. Ethically ambivalent criminal former CEO of Redflex, Karen Finley, approved $2 million in bribes to a dude named John Bills, who was a high-level corrupt government scumbag in Chicago. Mr. Bills creatively employed the funds for, sundry personal benefit type things. For example, he installed a, what's that called again, that thing that you install? A hottie on the side, I think it's called. Yeah. In Arizona, as you do with these off-the-books kinds of funds and other somewhat sleazy but fun things of that nature, before he was found out, inconveniently, and sent by a judge to Club Fed for a decade. Oops-a-daisy. Meanwhile, over at Redflex, the delightfully criminal Karen moved out of the corner office and into her very own cell in a federal penitentiary for chicks for 30 months, where she concurrently served a 14-month sentence for a carbon copy bribery scam which she orchestrated in Ohio. And that's some pretty impressive multitasking right there. I think you'd agree. Then, a jilted Redflex senior executive dude named Aaron Rosenberg, well, he got the arse, which made him decide that it was a fine old time indeed to go on the record in a US court, alleging that Redflex engaged in similar bribery-type conduct in 13 US states, which is what, about, let's call it a quarter of the country. California, Washington, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Florida, New Jersey, Tennessee, Virginia, and, of course, Georgia. Thus, I think it's more than fair to say that Redflex's moral compass is somewhat damaged. The criminality of the company's conduct is actually not speculation here. It was determined by a US court using due legal process, okay? And it appears to be emblematic of the way the company and the traffic camera industry generally does business. Redflex is also incompetent, with a solid track record of installing illegal, legislatively non-compliant and or just plain old defective speed cameras, which need and or needed to be ripped out, with thousands of fines refunded. Regulators love that, I know. I've done a full report on these proud ambassadors for our fine nation operating internationally. Yes. Redflex is a disgraceful business in my view, and they haven't turned a profit since 2014, let's not forget, and their shares continue to tank. Click this link right there for that report. Exclusive and ad-free on the blog. You will not get this content anywhere else. So, on balance, it amazes me that law and order institutions here or overseas would choose to continue to do business with Redflex today, and yet they do. In my view, this sends entirely the wrong message, because if Redflex were a person, it would not be able to get a job cleaning the friggin' dunnies at Redflex. Not with a record like that, let alone do business with governments. I'd further suggest that if Redflex were a person, I doubt he or she would be able to hold a senior executive office at Redflex. Just saying. And now the company has successfully qualified for a $5 million bailout, which is probably about what they've spent bribing various US officials when I added up on the balance of probabilities, at least the ones we know about. This bailout flat out gobsmacks me, okay, given the Republican retardistani reluctance to provide welfare to individuals, no matter how needy they might be. On the other hand, you can be the lowest of low-rent scumbag corporations and qualify for a friggin' bailout. This is nothing if not amazing. The bailout, in this case, is technically a loan, a COVID-19 welfare loan. But get this, okay? It is quote-unquote forgivable, meaning that Redflex does not ever have to pay it back, so long as about 60% of the funds are used for the payroll and they don't bone any employees. It's just a handout to keep the doors open, okay? But Redflex is not alone. Census Gatso, another speed camera company, this one based in Sweden, it put its hand out for roughly $1 million in bailout funds. And RedSpeed, also lately based in Sweden, previously UK I think, they copped another lazy $1 million buckaroonies to stay open. SafeSpeed, which is the fourth speed camera company recently receiving this US COVID-19 welfare, it collected as much as $2 million despite being the target of an ongoing federal corruption probe. Former Illinois Senate State Transportation Committee Chairman, a guy named Martin Sandoval, admitted that he took $250,000 in bribes from SafeSpeed to become an advocate for photo enforcement in that state. A dude named Patrick Doherty, the Chief of Staff to Cook County Commissioner Jeff Tobolsky, who makes up these names, bribed local officials on SafeSpeed's behalf, okay? And a Chicago consultant named William Helm was indicted for slipping cash to Mr. Sandoval so that he could pressure the Illinois Department of Transportation. He entered a plea of not guilty, okay? And that case is ongoing. The background of all of this, okay, my question to you is, how is an ordinary person, such as you or me, supposed to have ongoing faith in a criminal justice system that continues to do business with companies such as Redflex when they are so clearly guilty of gross criminal misconduct? And why support them at all with this kind of welfare when there are so many more cases far more deserving of our compassion and support at the present challenging time? And when I say our, I mean humanity's compassion and support, okay? Check out my exclusive report on Redflex and its sweeping criminal misconduct on the blog. Just click up there, that link. If I were in charge, I know, it's hard not to laugh, isn't it? But if I were in charge, safe to say, I'd be keeping organisations such as Redflex well away from the apparatus of law and order, just for the optics and the underlying ethics and morality. There's a link in the description too to that report. And before you ask, it is not on YouTube anymore because of Google's, frankly, deranged attitude to the freedom of speech. We might talk about that later. More importantly, I would ask you, what exactly does it take to become persona non grata if you're a speed camera company? What have you got to do to run afoul of the authorities? How many crimes must you commit? You'd have to murder Mickey friggin' Mouse himself. And even then. Why are these companies, why are these corrupt speed camera manufacturers apparently some sort of protected friggin' species? It certainly makes me think, and probably conclude, that it's all about the money and certainly not at all about safety. One rule for us, it seems, and a completely different landscape over there somewhere for all of them. One thing is certain though, If you had been caught speeding as many times as Redflex has been caught passing plain brown envelopes full of cash under the table, your licence would be on holiday until roughly the heat death of the universe.